don't want to be brutal, but I don't want to be in your shoes,
No,
bro.
I don't either. I would rather be in LA. Believe me, I am part cat, so I love the heat, and this doesn't work really well with how I vibe, but it gives us an appreciation, I guess, when the sun comes back out. So that's
Totally.
one way to kind of look at it. But it's great to meet you. You have such a wonderful celebrated history in business, and I want to begin our conversation with surviving the last 3.5 years. How did you get through the pandemic, and how did it change you?
Um, Actually, that's an interesting thing because the pandemic was not bad for my business. It was actually very, very good for my business. Um, but personally, it was challenging, of course, because I'm a human and I have two kids, and I have parents that are halfway across the universe. So it was a challenging thing. I think one of the biggest things that helped me personally was nature. Nature really helped me. I always have loved being in the nature, and that was a really big thing. And also, I know it sounds a little crazy when I say that, but I was able to travel with my kids and spend some time in the nature with them
Yeah.
because we didn't have to go to school. And I can work from anywhere in the universe. So kind of we made a journey out of it.
Yeah.
Um, I try to I try to take it for what it is and be with it rather than fight it. And that really helped.
Yeah. So let's get to the essence of what you do for a living. I'm going to put you in front of a bunch of third graders. It's career day. And one of
Hmm.
the kids says, "Hey, what do you do for a living?" How
Oh
do you
my,
answer them?
I love this question. Um, I help if and I'm imagining you are the third grader. Let's
Yes.
role play. I help you decide how you want to feel in your life and design how you want to go about your life.
So what did you want to be in the third grade?
What did I want to be in the third grade?
Yeah.
Writer.
Okay. Okay. What was the book as a kid that really opened up the doors and made you want to read more or write?
Um, I was a voracious reader at that time, so there was a lot of books. I started to read when I was 3.
Wow.
I had a nanny who was illiterate and she couldn't read. And I decided I need to be able to read. So instead of her drawing things for me, I was able to read it. So I went to my dad, and my mother tongue is Farsi, and so he had to put the like the how you pronounce things in the book for me, and that's how I learned to read. One of the first books that I read was Heidi and Clara. It was the story of Heidi. I don't know if your readers or listeners are familiar with Heidi, but I really like that story. The girl who lived with her grumpy grandfather in the Alps. That was a pretty good story. But there
Yeah.
are other books that have shaped me across the years.
So you're obviously a very high-powered business person. How did this start? Take me back to where you were born and raised and what seeds
Mhm.
were put into you to be so highly driven and accomplished at this point in your life.
I first of all, I grew up under a society that was very pressure driven. I grew up in Iran, and Iran is a country that is in the news all the time. So people hear it, not in the always the most positive news. It
Yeah.
has very mixed news. So I grew up after a revolution in that country, a revolution that changed many lives, including me, my parents. And also, I lived through a war, and these things make you feel like anything is possible if I am able to wake up the next morning and open my eyes and I'm still alive. There is a lot to be grateful for.
Yeah.
So that was a very big opening to the resilience. And in that country, you get programmed into becoming very clear about what you want and really pushing for it from a young age, because even getting to the college, uh, at that time it was very competitive. They were like, I don't know, 10 million people would participate in an exam that is like one of those checking exams, and then out of that 1,000 people are accepted to the public universities, and out of that 1,000 most of the subjects do not accept girls, and the ones that accepted girls at that time, it would be a 25% capacity. So you can see
Uh,
the odds were very strangely not in the favor of the girls at that time. So I had to learn a lot of things, but I can tell you, one of the biggest things that shaped me into who I am was the support that I had. I had parents that in that country were super, super supportive of my imagination, my ideas. They never made fun of things, even though I came up with the most crazy ideas. They never made fun of me. And I think having somebody who has your back all the time, no matter how ridiculous your ideas might be, I think that's a really big deal in life.
yeah. Yeah, I agree. So talk to me a little bit about heroes. Who have been a hero or an inspiration for you in your life?
Um, the people that I have learned from them, there has been a lot of writers that shaped my world. Osho Rajneesh philosophy really impacted my thinking about happiness and calming the mind, and really what is it that we can be looking for in life. That so he shaped a lot of my thinking. Gabriel Garcia Marquez, I really love the way that and it took me like 20 years to understand what he talks about. I read the book, but it didn't mean that I understood it. But he really that line between reality and surrealism, and the fact that our imagination, or the people who have passed are still living with us, that was a very big thing for me to be able to shape the way I look at the world. Um, there is a lot of writers. I mean, there's a lot of thinkers that have shaped my world. These are the things that the people who come to my mind. But I can tell you, I'm all the time discovering new people.
Yeah, yeah,
That's the thing. I'm always discovering new people. It's not an ever-ending journey.
yeah,
It's an evolving journey, kind
yeah.
of.
Absolutely. Did Gabriel do 100 Years of Solitude?
Yeah.
Okay. I remember reading that. When you said that, I was like, because I felt what you said about him. You really, you have to shut everything down and focus on what you're doing. But
Mm.
th-
Not just that. I did that. I even had the chart of the
yeah,
family, all of
right.
that. Yeah, yeah. But the thing that really made it solid for me was when I traveled through Colombia. I and when I was in Amazon jungle, and I met some indigenous people, and I talked to them, and really hearing them and their beliefs and the way they look at the world, that was really when it gelled that really the jungle never dies.
Yeah,
Nothing in the jungle dies ever.
yeah,
So continuum of life is a thing. And also the fact that quantum wise speaking, who can tell me where people have gone, or are they not here or not? I have access to just this timeline that I am in for this period of time. I mean, who am I to say that they are gone, or they are in another timeline or another life? I don't know. I don't think anybody can prove me wrong too.
right.
um I mean, who can come and say that for sure?
Yeah, right. Oh, I agree. Yeah, I I totally get it.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. If
Hmm.
you could meet anybody alive on the planet right now and spend some time with them, who would you love to meet and talk to?
I love your questions,
Thank
Joe.
you.
Who would I want to meet if I could meet any? I would love to meet Oscar Wilde.
Yeah.
The man really had an interesting take on life.
Yeah,
So
he did.
I would love to meet with him and really like experience like how he came up with the idea of the importance of being earnest, and Mrs. Windermere's fan, and those kind of look that he had at the society in the UK back in the day, and the way he looked at life. I would love to meet that man.
Yeah. So you've
Mm.
you've affected a lot of lives. You've done a lot in your life up to this point. What is the motivation every day for you to wake up, to be
Uh-huh.
you, to help others, to evolve as a human? What is
Mm.
that for you?
It is that I was on the verge of exiting this life, and I experienced disability firsthand. Like I was a very high power executive in the corporate world, and I had an accident that rendered me totally disabled within a couple of seconds. And I and then the medical ward told me we cannot help you. You kind of have to figure this out. And it it took me a long journey to come into terms with that and to surrender. At that time, the word surrender was being told to me by many of the people who was helping me to heal, but I wasn't able to grasp it. But in the journey, one thing that came to me is that we take life for granted a lot of times. I certainly have done it before in the past, and it is very important to really be able to experience this life and enjoy this life. And I don't want anybody in this world to learn it the hard way that I learned. So that is my motivation, especially for high achieving people, because high achieving people work hard,
Yeah,
but they are not always programmed to play hard or really enjoy life.
yeah,
That
yeah.
thing.
I love that answer. That's a great answer. So, of all of the things that
Mhm.
you've done to help people,
Mhm.
what's one of your favorite success stories of helping someone?
Hmm. Oh, actually, I have a story from yesterday I can tell you.
Sure.
One thing that is very important for me, Joe, is that people become more human, more pay attention to the fact that other people have feelings and emotions. It's not just work is a great thing and we need to serve a company, but at the end of the day, these are human beings, and if we can tend to them, we can get the work done and we can have a happier relationship. So I have a client who works for one of the biggest global companies in the world that is headquartered in New York, and he came to me and said, "Hey, when he got promoted when we started working together, and he came to me and said, these people that I have inherited, Kathy, one of them doesn't have good performance, and I'm going to talk to him and see what his skill is and see if we can turn things around." And yesterday he came and said, um that guy who I told you, he's really doing good. He's really doing good. And I said, like, yeah, people want to be heard and seen and felt. Maybe nobody gave him the chance in that organization because that organization is very transaction driven. And you know what he told me? He said that, you asked me what kind of a leader I want to be, Kathy. Now I have an answer for you. And I said, okay, what's the answer? He said, I want to be that empathetic leader. I want to be the leader who connects with how people feel and not just wants them to produce and execute. And I was like, wow, you were one of those people yourself when we started. And he said, yeah, but I don't want to be that leader.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay. I love these kind of stories, Joe. This really
yeah,
makes me happy.
absolutely. That is a great story. So, of all of the accomplishments of when you look in your career,
Mhm.
what are you the proudest of? What is the thing that you've done that you're the proudest of?
My transition. I worked for 15 years in a very competitive and lucrative space, and everybody wants to get into tech. Tech is hotter than ever with this AI and everything. And I when I was able to think about what do I want to do with the rest of my life, I was like, do I want to go back or do I want to do something else? And when I felt like I want to do something else, I turned around. I started a business. I went the entrepreneurial journey, even though my abilities were limited at that time. I'm very proud of that journey. A lot of people are like, "Oh, I'm 40. I don't know if I can change anymore." Or they die with their dreams. I wanted to experience this, and I'm experiencing it. So I'm very proud of that.
So, being in the technology sector for as long as you have been, you've seen
Mhm.
a lot of things change from the beginning of your life to right now, all
Yeah,
kinds of technological advancements.
yeah.
What has been the most impressive human technological advancement that you've witnessed?
A transformative technology. The world has turned into using technology in the service of helping the health, the physical health and mental health and longevity of human beings. The longevity part is a little bit under question for me, but if we can help this physical body have less disease through the mental, through using technology for the mental health or the helping the physical body, I consider that the biggest advancement we have noticed in the technology.
Absolutely. What's been the best advice you've ever gotten?
Um, the best advice has been maybe the advice of that neurologist that I saw at that time that said, you need to relax your brain.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how. So, that was a good advice.
Yeah. So let's say you have a dream tonight. You run into the 20-year-old version of you, and you could give that version of you a piece of advice based on
Mm,
the life you've led, the wisdom you've gained. What
mm.
advice would you impart on your young version?
I have debated on that a lot of times, Joe.
Yeah.
Will I change the way things have gone? And I wouldn't. You know
Yeah.
why? Because if I hadn't gone through that journey, I wouldn't be able to do this part of the journey. I think in your 20s and 30s, you really need to work hard and you really need to experience things. So I wouldn't change the path that I went personally, but in my 20s I was very fearless. In my 30s I grew fear, and I wouldn't have an advice for the 20-year-old, but I would tell the 30-year-old, lose the fear more.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Well, I would imagine if you've had a health scare that
Hmm.
that's like an immediate thing where you kind of you lose that fear.
Mm-hmm. You lose that fear and you gain some other fear.
Gotcha. It's just a trade out.
Yeah, like I am brave in venturing into some things when it comes to experiences in life, but at the same time, like it is very crazy, but I'm very cautious about my head because I had a head injury. So I'm very cautious about my head. And funny enough, whenever I go that there is a ball, people playing in the pool, people playing in the park, everything, definitely the ball comes towards my head. It's just my husband said you have a ball magnet in your head now. So I have, and I think it's because of the fear that I have
Yeah.
in me that it might hit me. Like the thought is
Yeah.
attracting the ball.
Yeah.
I know
Absolutely.
it, and I'm acknowledging it.
Yeah.
Just I'm living with it too.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. You've been very curious, you've read a lot.
Mm,
You obviously have a thirst for a lot of adventure. Let's say we get off this Zoom call and a time machine pulls up in front of your house. You can go anywhere in human history and see one event with your own eyes. Where do
mm,
you want to go? What do you want to witness happen?
mm,
It won't
mm.
change history, but you just get to see it happen.
Okay. Yeah, that would be interesting. If I could have a time machine, where would I go? Huh. Wow, Joe, that's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Wow. You know what? It is a little crazy, and it's kind of dangerous because I could have been sacrificed, you know. But I wouldn't mind going back and experience the glory of Machu Picchu
Yeah.
when when it really existed, and the Aztec Empire and their kind of engineering. I mean, building those whole things, the path and the Machu Picchu stuff. I mean, the engineering is ingenious.
Yeah.
Is genius. I mean, honestly. So I wouldn't mind experiencing that world,
Yeah.
even
So
though I might be sacrificed.
right, right. No, that's totally interesting. Yeah. That I've never heard that before. That's a very unique answer. So I'm curious, as someone that's been in high levels of business, what's one of your favorite businesses that
Mm,
has risen from the ashes, maybe a phoenix, maybe just
Mm.
a really admirable business model? Who is that for you?
Admirable business model. Let me think about that. There are a lot of businesses that I really love them. I mean, I have a considerable list. Um, I like businesses who learn to pivot because business is a volatile world. So there are a couple of things that come to me, like DirecTV. When I was with DirecTV, a lot of the times people, I like DirecTV because of the way it looked at entertainment. But at that time, people said, "Oh, TV is gonna die. TV is gonna die." AT&T acquired DirecTV, and then AT&T figured out maybe that was not a good acquisition, and DirecTV became a standalone with a new model, and they are still going on. So I like those kind of stories that the ebb and flow, but yet keeping it going. That's one thing that I like, and also I like the businesses that shape themselves through the change in the world and bring what's happening in the world more to people, like Bloomberg. Bloomberg is doing a very good job in that, but they are shaping to the changes of the world too, to a great degree, to be able to stay at the forefront of what's happening.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the things that. But if you want to look at the startup space, there is a lot of companies that come to my mind because they are making their decisions are making the landscape of the life of the consumer easier and better. And I like those kind of things.
Yeah, absolutely. So at the end of the day, Kathy, everyone has a perception of you, family, friends, your clients,
Hmm.
colleagues, but you run the show. What's
Hmm.
your perception of you? Who do you think you are?
My perception of me is that I am a person who is kind of happy and brings happiness to other people, like has a good energy and can laugh, can talk, maybe a little too much sometimes.
I have that problem myself. I get it.
I'm-
I totally
and
get
I
it.
have a big heart, so
Yes.
yeah,
I can definitely see that. All of that is spot on from what I've seen. So if anyone wants to hire you, reach out to you, learn more about you, anything about your world, where can they go?
LinkedIn. Connect with me on LinkedIn. I'm very active on LinkedIn, and as of this week, I am a top voice in leadership development on LinkedIn. I received the badge, which
Nice.
I'm very proud of that. So I post on LinkedIn a lot. Connect with me. I would love to connect with you. And
Excellent. Kathy, this has been so much fun. Thank you for your story. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all the color. I love it.
thank you, thank you. I enjoyed your questions, Joe, very, very much.
Thank you very